There was a time when the financial world marveled at the genius of Charles Ponzi. He was the man in charge of one of the most successful business investments in America. He had millions of dollars at his disposal and crowds of people lining up, literally begging him to take their money. But little did everyone know, Ponzi's business was built on nothing but lies. The whole thing was an outrageous scam, one which turned Ponzi into a very rich man, but ruined the lives of thousands of innocent people. His deception was so shocking and infamous that even now, 100 years later, the scam still shares his name, the Ponzi scheme. This is the untold truth of the financial idiot who scammed the world. Charles Ponzi was born in Italy on March 3, 1882. His father worked as a postman, but the family had once been wealthy. Grandparents and great-grandparents who were successful businessmen and officials. The family had lost that fortune, and the fall from privilege shaped young Charles. Bitter and resentful, he resented the working-class life. When he inherited a modest sum after his father's death, he didn't save or invest it. He spent it on fine clothes, fancy restaurants, and gambling with wealthy friends. He pretended he had endless money. It was an illusion, and one day it all came crashing down. By 1903, his funds were gone. Ponzi took the SS Vancouver to Boston. He later claimed he arrived with $2.50 in his pocket and $1 million in hopes. The truth was harsher. He was ashamed to return home and vowed to become rich in America. But America was a reality check. He drifted from New York to Florida, taking menial jobs, sign painter, dishwasher, factory hand, often fired for cheating customers or shortchanging the till. He slept in parks and begged for food. The life of a high-rolling Roman was a distant memory. In 1907, Ponzi moved to Montreal and worked as a clerk at Banco Zerossi, a bank for Italian immigrants. There he learned how some operators paid high interest by using funds from new depositors to pay earlier ones. When the bank collapsed, the boss fled with the cash. Broke and desperate, Ponzi tried to forge a check for $423.58. The forgery was obvious. He was arrested and sentenced to 3 years in a Canadian penitentiary. After release, he tried smuggling 5 Italians into the U.S., was caught, and received 2 years in federal prison in Atlanta. By 40, he had nothing to show for his life. Back in Boston, Ponzi found a clerk job and met Rose Janot. They married in 1918. He wanted to shower Rose with diamonds and luxuries, but a clerk's salary wouldn't cut it. He tried several businesses, a failed export firm, a failed trade magazine called The Trader's Guide. One day, a letter changed everything. Inside was an international reply coupon, or IRC, a coupon bought in one country and redeemed for stamps in another. Ponzi realized that due to wartime currency differences, he could buy an IRC in Italy cheaply and redeem it in the US for more. Arbitrage. On paper, it was legal and brilliant. He formed the Securities Exchange Company. Logistics made the coupon plan impossible. Moving millions of coupons would cost more than any profit. Ponzi ignored the reality and sold the dream. He promised investors 50% returns in 45 days. Banks were offering roughly 5% a year. He claimed a vast network of agents buying IRCs. It was a lie. What he actually did was use new investors' money to pay returns to earlier investors, the same trick he'd seen in Montreal. He started with 18 neighbors. Within months, crowds packed the streets to hand him cash. At its peak, he took in over $250,000 a day. Ponzi bought a mansion, a custom limousine, wore diamonds on his lapel. The Boston Post called him a financial genius. But Clarence Barron, a financial analyst hired by the paper, did the math. For Ponzi's returns to be genuine, the world would need roughly 160 million IRCs. In reality, there were only about 27,000. Ponzi hired publicist William McMasters to fight rumors. McMasters was honest. He watched Ponzi's careless behavior, feet on the desk, expensive cigars, nonsensical finance talk, and realized the business was fraudulent. He exposed Ponzi in an exposé that revealed the truth. The house of cards collapsed, banks failed, and tens of thousands lost life savings. Ponzi was arrested, convicted, and eventually deported. He never stopped scamming, attempting a swampland scheme in Florida, selling worthless mud with promises of 200% returns. Charles Ponzi died blind and destitute in a charity hospital in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in 1949. It was a tragic rags to riches to rags tale, and a warning: promise people easy money and many will believe. The scheme that bears his name lives on in new forms. If you want to hear about a modern fraudster who makes Ponzi look like an amateur, click the video on screen now about Joe Lowe. You won't believe what he got away with.